but we're an interfaith organization. So currently we're comprised of 25 congregations from across Hillsborough County. And we Hope gives congregations a vehicle to live out the call to do justice, to really work together to tackle serious problems within our community. So we work on a wide range of things, and over the last 33 years, we've been working in Hillsborough County. So we get our inspiration from often whenever you're at events, you'll hear us cite Micah 6:8. What does the Lord require of you but to do justice, love mercy, walk humbly with your God. But every faith that's a part of Hope, has its own, I guess, inspiration for doing justice. Whether it's a Christian church or it's the Unitarian Universalist, the Islamic community, what we find that is every faith tradition is called to do justice and work together to do that. So we Hope gives us a way to unite diverse groups to work together under a common goal. So we're very diverse group, economically, racially, ethnically, religiously. So how we understand the work of justice, mercy, and faithfulness, it's important we see that they're like clearly distinguished requirements. So how we think about them is faithfulness is the activities within your congregation that strengthen your walk with God. So that could be, going to service every, 52 times a year, going, studying scripture, prayer, meditation, whatever your congregation does. The work of mercy is helping individuals that are in need, like what you were talking about, feeding Tampa Bay. Those are, people are showing up at the congregation or the organization every Friday who need food or rental assistance. So it's really helping people with immediate crisis. The work of justice is a little different. It's really tackling problems at a systemic level, understanding why is this family showing up every week needing food? Why are they hungry? Really getting at the root cause of the problems. And that's more challenging to do because as an individual or as an individual congregation, you're not able to address that. I can't go to the county commissioner's office and tell them that I'm struggling to find housing. But when you get 1,000, 2,000 people of diverse groups together saying that this is a serious problem in our community, that's when we have the power to really tackle these big systemic problems, like within affordable housing or education or the criminal justice system. But that really takes coming together as a community to do that. So every year we organize a great assembly called the Nehemiah Action, and that's when we unite. This past year we united 2,000 people, and that's where we engage with decision makers who have the authority to implement solutions, and that's how we are able to really affect change in our community. So for example, in 2019, we got the county commissioners to, we knew that affordable housing was a problem. We heard story after story within our member congregations about children, young adults moving back in with their parents because they can't afford rent, or families living multiple families living under the same roof. Senior citizens on fixed incomes who were getting priced out of their apartments. So we knew that there was a problem. So for 6 years, we worked on affordable housing, and what we identified as a solution was to establish an affordable housing fund of 10 million annually that would go to the rehab and construction of more affordable housing. So after 6 years, we got county commissioners to unanimously approve an affordable housing fund. And so far that's they actually named it the Hope Affordable Housing Fund, because we were so influential in making that happen in Hillsborough County. And so far it's opened up a few hundred units where there's one complex opened up. It's a partnership with Metropolitan Ministries, opened up in Sefner. There's one that's about to open up in University area, CDC. But it's really exciting to see more affordable housing being developed within the community for families that are struggling to find that.
So, Rabbi, what we do is we go to the community and we listen to the community and the problems that they have. We actually bring out those people who need the service and gain testimony from them. And then we go back together with all of our congregations in 4 different areas: housing, environment, criminal justice, and mental health. And we develop what we believe would be a good game plan and recommendations to solve that problem. And then we call out and call to the decision makers in the community, the county board. For instance, I'm on criminal justice. So we talk to the police chief, the mayor, the state attorney, public defender's office, and we interview them and find out where they're at and how willing they are to implement the changes, and we present to them what the problem is. So these conversations go on, and we've had many Zoom meetings with them. And then at the Nehemiah project, which Caitlin mentioned, that's when all of the decision makers meet with us in total and tell us what they're going to do. Now, we're an action organization and a change organization. And I'm 66 years old. I spent 27 years as a criminal investigator. I've seen the worst of worst. I've been very active in my communities, and I'm very active in the area of justice. My family is mixed race. I want my grandnieces and nephews to walk down the street without fear of being shot. And so I think I have a vested interest in the criminal justice and changing the perspective on how policing occurs. And so we're doing that. And we're actually talking and have had experts come to the police departments and talk about, what's the word? What is it when somebody's
it's accountability to build relationships.
Yeah, that and so that they're not inappropriately focusing on one group of people or not another. So they're not pulling out on the African American community, and we use statistics. So that's a great impetus for change to occur, because most of the decision makers rely on votes and the community to support them. When you're a decision maker and you're meeting with 2,000 representatives of 25, 26 congregations around Hillsborough, that's a very powerful tool to implement and to create the environment for change. So I've never seen anything as effective as this organization, because I'm seeing the change. For instance, juvenile justice. Most people didn't know that when you're a juvenile and you are arrested, if you create any issue at all, you're arrested. And in Florida, once you have an arrest, that stays on your record for life. So we literally have kids out there who can't get jobs because they have an arrest, even though there was never any prosecution. So we said, why can't we make those civil citations? And we looked at programs around the country and other programs, and we worked with our sheriff animately to change that, and worked with our Tampa City Police to change that. So now we have a civil citation for first time, maybe hopefully second and third offenders too, for juveniles. And because we also saw that that disproportionately impacted certain areas of our community and certain ethnicities of our community. And it was another burden that kept people down. So we took that one and we were able to change that, which is, to me, is very exciting. Because when you create change in policing, which is very hard to do in this country, we did. So that's the way that we do it. Is that what I like about it is that I could engage on several different levels. It wasn't a specific requirement of me as someone who wanted to participate that I had to be at every meeting and do everything. I could literally go to 4 meetings a year and that would be sufficient. I chose to get on the Criminal Justice Committee and begin helping engage and help develop the questions and the subject matter, because that to me is where my passion lies in creating change in a dysfunctional criminal justice system. So I chose, and that they welcome that. So members of the congregation, yours, can choose wherever they wish to join in one of those 4 areas. They can become very active. They can become slightly active, but it allows us as individuals and as congregations to become involved in true changing of our systems and the systemic racism and the problems, and creating positive change, doing justice. And for me, that's what's exciting.
So, having a synagogue involved in Hope would just make the organization richer. It'll make the community richer, and decision makers pay attention to that. They look at the congregations that are at the table with the organization. So there's power in that.
Yeah, I think from my standpoint, and being part of it, I first of all, as a congregation, we joined Hope. And then we said, we are going to bring this many people to the table who are interested, and they decide what areas they would like to focus in or participate in, if any of them. And then we make an awareness, and they can go to the committee meetings, as Caitlin said, helping listen and find the people who are going to tell you what the problem is, and then to create solutions or do the research. And that's done by committees of all members from all the different congregations. Mostly in the past year and a half now that it's been on Zoom because of COVID. A lot of times it would be in person. So there's, I think, a richer experience in terms of gaining knowledge from somebody from a different culture, different ethnicity, different belief, working together with them. That's one way. The other way is then to have members of your congregation attend just their person, attend to the Nehemiah Project, which is our year-end meeting where all these policymakers are. And what that says to these policymakers is, look at these people. Look at this number of people from these congregations that are taking time just to sit here and listen to me. I better come up with some answers. And that to me is so. And I think what makes me feel like when I did that the first time was, wow, I'm participating in something that's making a difference. I really am. This is change. And to me, it was so refreshing, because after 27 years of fighting crime, I've seen the systemic problems that never have a solution. The same problems that were there when Martin Luther King wrote his famous letter from the Birmingham jail are still here. And we're still servicing as congregations those people who have those needs, but we're not changing the system. This changes the system, and it offers your congregation, your members, a way to participate at several different levels if they choose.
So we're a non-political, nonpartisan organization. Justice work is done in the public arena. So justice work is about engaging decision makers. So it is political in that sense, though it's nonpartisan. So our role is to hold all decision makers, no matter what political spectrum the decision maker identifies with, accountable for the fair treatment of people within Hillsborough County. So our congregations are made up of different faith, different political spectrums. So that's actually the really beautiful thing about Hope, is that it brings these very, very different people together to really push for a common goal. But to be a member congregation, you're committing to build in churches, we call it a justice ministry. I know in our sister organizations, they that have synagogues involved, they call it Rodeph. I don't know if how that translates.
Pursuers of justice.
Pursuers of justice, yeah. So as a congregation, so I'm a Hope staff, so I would work with your congregation to help you build a Rodeph, to help you identify leaders who can engage your congregation in the work of justice throughout the year. So to be a member congregation, first and foremost, you have to, commit to engage your congregation in this work. And then there's also a membership application. So you would submit that, and that would be presented to the board for approval. Of course, Rodeph Sholom would be approved in a heartbeat. People are always asking, like, why don't we have a synagogue involved? People want to have a synagogue involved. And then there's also membership dues, which is the dues structure is an $800 base fee. And then for congregations with membership of 200 plus people, it's $1 per person on top of the $800 base fee. So most congregations pay between $800 to $2,000 in membership dues. So
Per year, right?
A year, yeah, a year.
And I know this might be a question, so I'll answer it. One of the things I always look at when I'm in an organization is, what are the administrative expenses? How much is actually going to the justice work? Our Hope has 2 paid staffers, is it, or 3?
We just hired our third staff.
3 paid staffers who are all like Caitlin, and that's the only staff. Here we go out, and we have many corporate donors, and we use the same system. We meet with them in group, and there's a script, and we talk with them, and we garner corporate donations too.
Yeah. So all of our money is locally raised. It's congregation membership dues, corporate investments, and then individuals like ourselves also invest in the work. Those are our 3 main sources of income. So it's really grassroots driven. All of our work, from the issues we work on, the problems in the community, and raising our own local money. If you think it's helpful for me to meet with some of the decision-making body, like it could be one-on-one, I could present as well. I would love that opportunity. I just want to say that I appreciate you taking time to meet with us today and learn about the justice work that we're doing in the community. And I look forward to future conversations. Well, it was nice meeting you.
It was nice meeting you, Rob.